Let me start off asking this question. How many of you are familiar with this Douglas Scientific company, and how many of you seen this RE tape before? Well, for those of you who haven't heard about RE tape technology or Douglas Scientific, that's going to change right now. So I'm Venkatramana Pegadaraju from Douglas Scientific, and I'm here along with a couple of my colleagues, Dan Hums and Ross Higgins. We can go back to my slides, please. So Dan recently joined from Syngenta and was, was one of the persons who was, predominantly involved in deploying the RE tape technology across the global Syngenta, and we stole Dan from Syngenta, and right now he works for Douglas Scientific. And Ross is the project manager on the IntelliCube, the new product that I'm going to talk about today. So in terms of really the outline, I just want to talk about who we are as a company, Douglas Scientific, and what are some of the key strengths and value proposition of RE tape technology. Also touch upon our legacy platform, the RE tape automation, and just give you an overview about the RE tape technology platform. And secondly, half of my presentation, just going to talk about this IntelliCube, which is the next generation platform or the next wave of technology that we have developed at Douglas Scientific, and particularly it's got a lot of relevance for this crowd here. As you see, a lot of people here that are associated with the research community as well as the nonprofit, research space. This is a technology that's going to be a total game changer, and so I want to take a few moments to describe what are the capabilities of this new IntelliCube project are, and perhaps if the time permits, just also want to touch upon what are the various applications that people have been using, particularly in the molecular breeding area with the RE tape technology. So for breeders, this is always a central question, what technology to use, or what genotyping platform, or what panel of markers should I be using, and and so this is kind of really critical in the dynamically changing technology space. How to identify what is the most appropriate technology, and from a breeder standpoint, it's really critical the operational cost. I've heard here today a lot of people may have commented about sexy science, and also the challenges with the small seed companies and also with nonprofit organizations in order to maintain that lower operational cost. And so if you look at the genomics assisted selection pipeline, shown here, phases, different phases, phase 1 through 4. And then really, phase 1, particularly is a discovery phase, and a lot of the talks that we heard this morning, involve next-gen sequencing and identifying, rare alleles and using high-density arrays or high-density sequencing. And as you move along with the phase 1 through phase 2, and essentially phase 3 and 4 are mostly, production phase testing, where actually you're taking these alleles that you identified, and then you're trying to develop varieties using several different breeding schemes here that I've mentioned here. So breeding is a numbers game. I'm sure most of the breeders will agree. And in this phase, what becomes really critical is the population size rather than the market density. And that's been published now. That there's a rate of diminishing returns beyond certain point in a breeding kind of a program where market densities add value, but beyond that, it's more relevant to increase the population sizes. And so it's really critical to choose and pick the most appropriate technology for a right application in breeding. And so you can be using discovery tools and production tools and discovery and be successful. What I'm going to describe today, this is the sweet spot for Douglas Scientific technology, and really, it's been tested, proven, and it's been exploited in some of the biggest and commercial seed settings, and where people have been able to utilize the power of the Douglas Scientific technology to attain efficiency, lower operational cost, and also maintaining the data quality. And in fact, we can claim this, that the RE tape technology is by far the most established and proven technology on which you can attain the lowest possible cost than any other technology that's out there in the marketplace. So here's a kind of a quick a glance at this is a very limited list, and these are the companies that have been utilizing the Arid tape technology on routine basis. So if the mission at Douglas Scientific is dedicated to making the world a better place by delivering innovative laboratory automation, and so we've been fairly successful in fulfilling this mission. We are a partnership with with most of folks like you sitting in this audience, who are utilizing this technology for developing drought tolerance or high yielding varieties and so on and so forth. So, and the key essential elements of our technology is, this Arid tape, which is a thin layer of polypropylene that is thermally, so we use a process called thermal embossing to create miniaturized reaction wells, and this is our intellectual property, and believe me, there are a lot of exciting things that you can do on this piece of plastic here. And today largely some of the applications that people have been doing are DNA-based applications, but there's also scope to bring in protein technology, detection technologies, or RNA detection technologies within this piece of tape. More importantly, it's dirt cheap compared to any plate-based operation, and it's biodegradable. The other key element of Douglas technology is the various platforms that we offer, and which are compatible to this Arid tape itself. And today I'm going to specifically focus on three of these. The IntelliCube, which is in one configuration that's shown here, is really a attractive solution for medium throughput, and then IntelliCube with another configuration is mostly for high throughput, and for really ultra high throughput space, it's the Arid tape technology. That's our legacy platform. But also, there's also a few other things, that we are developing, and I want to show this. This is more of a point of care diagnostic unit that could be taken to the field, and especially breeders could use this as a screening tool for detecting diseases and and so on and so forth. And it's actually an all-purpose tool. If you're in Africa and you're faced with situations like Ebola or HIV or MLN disease, for example, in maize, the same tool could be utilized. And it actually works on a different chemistry, which is quite unique, called as an isothermal chemistry, as opposed to the cyclic amplification. You can amplify and generate billions of copies in less than 10 minutes or so. And so this is really a portable device, that I thought I'd just mention here. But first I want to talk about the Arid tape technology. This is our legacy system. It's been pressure tested, and it's one of those platforms that has been exploited for ultra high throughput SNP genotyping in the ag industry. And so in terms of the quick review on the workflow, the Arid tape is a key consumable, and so the liquid handling phase is done on what is called as a Nexor system, and there are three different components here: the Solex, which is the high capacity water bath, and then the inline detection, fluorescent detection system called the Araya. So, historically, when you look at a lot of the laboratory operations, there's several processes, like whether it's adding DNA or adding the assays, or sealing. So these different steps have been attained using singulation technologies. So inline automation is a revolutionary approach that enables end user to process your samples in a completely streamlined fashion, and as a result of which you can eliminate labor, you can save costs, your operational costs, and gain efficiencies in the program. So I thought it would be more relevant if I can show you quickly a video here that for a second here.
Douglas Scientific introduces the next evolution of the Arid tape platform that provides an integrated PCR workflow and extreme lab efficiency. Introducing IntelliCube. This technology...
Well, actually, I think it's got switched a little bit, but this is, I was supposed to be showing it to you later, but nevertheless, this is the new platform which was
presents a paradigm shift in current PCR technology and workflows. By integrating liquid handling, amplification, detection, and data analysis, the IntelliCube is the first all-in-one nucleic acid processing and analysis system that supports a wide variety of qPCR, endpoint PCR, and isothermal chemistries in array tape. Significantly reduced chemistry costs with small reaction volumes of 1.6 microliters and high throughput sample processing with purified or crude sample prep. The instrument is optimized for use with an opaque white polypropylene array tape specifically designed for the IntelliCube. In addition to our standard 384 well array tape pattern, our new 768 well interlaced pattern enables even higher throughput. The process begins with independent aspiration of the DNA sample and reagents from their respective source plates. Source plates can be randomly accessed through the plate stacker located on the instrument. The DNA samples are stamped into 384 wells at one time with the Sci-Bi Felix dispensed pipette. The reagents are then added to the DNA already in the array tape. The reaction mixture is then immediately pressure sealed prior to amplification. In the meantime, integrated wash stations are used to clean the tips and provide stringent cleaning measures to mitigate the risk of cross-contamination between samples. A Peltier block facilitates the amplification and supports multiple array formats without block changes. Real-time fluorescent detection is supported with a high-resolution CCD camera and LED excitation source with 5 optic channels and the ability to multiplex data capture in 15 seconds or less. The IntelliC software supports protocol generation and subsequent data analysis of PCR results. Lab personnel can observe amplification curves on the instrument in real time. Walk-away operation, increased efficiency of lab personnel, increased throughput, reduced chemistry costs, and reduced consumable costs. IntelliCube, your solution for the most efficient lab possible. Douglas Scientific, partnering with you.
So too bad the video got switched. I was supposed to be showing you the legacy system first and then go with this, but in interest of time, I'll just move on. So these are some of the various samples that have been tested on the array tape technology, and this list keeps on going. And in fact, are allowed to add a lot of the crops that support humanity in Asia as well as in sub-Saharan Africa into this list. And so. So I'm kind of, summarize what I just showed about the inline automation is that, it really enhances, the labor efficiency or the laboratory efficiency operation, and, it enables you to increase your throughput, lower turnaround time, and also reduce the chemistry cost by about 90%. Okay. Now you'll ask me this question. Now, what are the impacts of miniaturizing the reaction volumes from, say from 5 or 10 microliters down to about, 1.6? And actually, we've seen this that there's 100% concordance between a routine 5 microliter reaction versus array tape. Empirically, we've tested this across several samples, and now, it works. Whatever reaction works at 5 microliter, it translates pretty much into, 1.6 without any trouble. Another unique feature about array tape is it's a chemistry agnostic platform, and so, we've shown here are several chemistries that we have tested here, Casper, ABI, ClearCal, and, Perfecta, and so on and so forth. And so which is kind of a really an agnostic platform, so you don't have to depend on one single chemistry provider. You can use this across a range of chemistries. Another important feature, I think, when we dissect the cost per data point, and DNA extraction cost is one of the biggest elements to it. And our array tape technology, can pretty much take a cheap and dirty alkali lysis kind of a methodology, and you can get some great results. And showing here is a comparative between a purified DNA and versus a crude prep DNA, sort of maize sample, and also in a bovine sample, in an assay, and you can see very nice cluster in both of the cases. So really, in terms of the value proposition, and this is a slide that was provided by Pioneer Hybrid DuPont Company a few years ago at SLI show. And, prior to switching to array type technology, Pioneer, lab operations, involved plate-based operations, and, they were really proud about their lean operations and, state-of-the-art facilities. And even in those environments that were kind of really optimized for high throughput operations, when they deployed the array type platform, they were able to, notice dramatic differences in throughput gains about 10x, and also cost reduction about 90%. And so these are the different areas where they, witnessed the cost reduction, the reagent costs, consumable costs, depreciation, as well as on the labor elimination. And also we have seen the same kind of success story repeating in other spaces, like in clinical diagnostics, in animal health, and other areas as well. So, and I just kind of quickly conclude, this part of the presentation is that, what I've shown is inline automation. It's a proven efficient system for high throughput genotyping, reduces labor costs, indirect costs, and capital costs, and increased throughput, and also decreases the time to sample to data. The data quality, particularly and accurately, if you look at the thermal transmission of the heat energy, it's done on a water bath, so it happens much more efficiently across the thin plastic. And so it's much more efficient, and you could see, much better data and, accurate data on the receive system. So low cost per data, and I think with the right configuration of the system, the practical, cost of attaining $1 per sample with a fingerprint of 100 SNP markers is possible on the array type technology. So you're looking at extremely, very, very low cost per data point on the array type technology. Another important thing, as we globally deployed, one of the key things actually, one of the speakers said, asked me about durability and the sustainability of these technologies, because there are a lot of technologies that are come and they go, and so from that standpoint, and I think we've been very sensitive to the market needs, and till date, I think the first system that was ever deployed, is still running, and these people have always come back, and they've added more systems in the lab. So which is it's always been our focus, is to support this technology, and we will continue to support the existing technologies, but also we'll come up with new technologies to address the growing market needs. And in terms of capacity on the legacy system, with just 3 full-time employees, you can generate about 40 million data points. And the system is very robust and comes with a software support, which probably will not have time to go over. And just quickly move on to the next, next generation technology, which I mentioned is the IntelliCube platform that most of you, seen the video, and actually what it is actually, it's an inline liquid handling amplification detection system. So it's taken the bigger system configuration, and we merge all the 3 elements of that into one single configuration. And in conjunction with the water bath, which is actually a modified water bath than the Solex water bath, and you can increase your data points anywhere from 1 million to 6 million, on the IntelliCube system. And so really, in terms of the workflow, it's much similar, but what we have done for the IntelliCube project is that, instead of the routine 384 well format, we have come up with this 768 format, and it's a tape that's differently optimized for the IntelliCube system, and it's got a liquid handling, much similar to the bigger platform, but it's with some modifications to it, and you have the plate stackers that can hold about 10 different DNA plates, crude prep DNA plates, and the DNA is added using the SciBio Felix head, which is comes with interchangeably 96 or 384 well format, and then and attached to the same Felix head is the 4-tip non-contact dispensing system that can add the assays to the mix, and then once the liquid handling phase is done, then the arrays are then switched to the water bath. It's like I said, it's a slightly optimized water bath for the IntelliCube, and upon the PCR, then you move your system back into the system, the IntelliCube system, and then you do fluorescent detection. Another key feature that we've introduced is a multiplexing capability on the IntelliCube system. It's got ability to detect 5 different dyes, and so you can multiplex two different SNP markers in one single valve, further minimizing the cost of that. So, so I just, I thought that was a video of which you already saw, so we'll move on. And the other, version or a configuration of the IntelliCube is this, this version where, it's much similar to the one which I showed you, but it's got certain modifications to it. Firstly, you don't use the water bath, but you use what's called as a Peltier style heating block, and it comes in 768, a format. So you can process 384 or 768 tape on this. And in addition to that, we have enabled what is called a tape singulation feature. And what it does is basically, on a given day, let's say a small lab that doesn't have much samples, want to do just 1 or 2 plates, you can run those samples and then you can save on the consumables, and you can just singulate the tape as opposed to let it go over the system and then end up wasting it. So that's a slight modification to this, and the interesting thing to this is that.
Could you kindly wind up, please?
I will try to. Yeah, sorry. So I mentioned here the 5 different dies here that can support multiplexing, and in terms of throughput, and this is really a sweet spot for academic or research space. You're looking at anywhere around 1.1 million data points on a real-time PCR, qPCR reaction, not endpoint. And so you look at endpoint, it's somewhere around 5.8 million on this particular system. And so here are some results that come out from the lab in terms of the dynamic long range of this 8-fold, quite exceptional as per the industry standards, a 2-fold resolution, and also excellent CQs in there. And so we have tested both real-time and isothermal, as well as some of the results from the endpoint PCR here. So I guess I'm running out of time, so I'll just stop here and take any questions. But although I have a lot of other things that I wanted to show in terms of how people have utilized this in routine molecular breeding operations. So we have a booth, so please feel free to stop by and have more discussions. Myself, Dan, and Ross will be there. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. These are real advances in technology, and I think we've all seen. I believe we will interact with you in the booth, and so if we can continue with the presentation. Thank you very much. Maybe one quick question from the co-chairperson.
I have one quick question. How much of this is being used in the public sector?
So I think the new platform that I'm mentioning is gaining a lot of traction in the public sector organizations, and we have deployed the original array predominantly in the commercial space, but that's actually for a higher capacity if a lab is generating 40 million data points and so on and so forth. But we have got good traction with the academics on the newer platform.
And have you had to customize it further?
No, it's the same state configuration. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
It's good to change your mind. Gary is pleading for the floor, so can I? Gary, just my prerogative.
Why the public sector cannot use these tools, but we will have to organize ourselves differently to do that. We will have to integrate our programs, or seek out commercial services that can help aggregate the demand for the very large sample flows that we need to get to that $1 per DNA sample for 100 SNP genotype. But we need to do that. We can't do forward breeding without getting the costs down to those levels. So we're going to be discussing later this week approaches to doing that I hope the Gates Foundation will be able to help with.
Thanks, Guy.
Now we have this